Hi there, I'm Allison Metz and I'm standing outside the Beehive, one of my favorite local independent shops in Crail. I'm really in all of the East Nook. I love this store so much. It has beautiful gifts, great designs and artwork. It's also a wonderful place to have breakfast or lunch, and just a really great place to grab a coffee or a latte in the morning or a cup of tea in the afternoon. So let's go inside and talk to the owner, Joanne Stewart, here. So Joanne, I just wanted to first ask you, when you were opening the Beehive, what was your vision for it?
I found myself in Crail at the end of the pandemic and having some time to get the shop together. I was quite often sitting outside. I'd been sanding floors and painting and making the Beehive nice and bright and light, and I met lots of people outside, people with their kind of noses and eyes at the windows wondering what on earth was going on. And at that time it was quite an open book, and what I began to learn was that everybody had precious memories and moments at the Beehive. Since the 1940s, in fact, the Beehive had been a shop of sorts, and families had been through here and people had worked here, and it was quite magical in many ways to be able to be a part of that long history and be somebody who added something to that story, to that narrative, and kept the infrastructure of the Beehive being a shop in place. And what we found was that people no longer had somewhere on the high street to go for coffee. So in the broader sense, I just hope that it would be something that people could come here and gather, whether they gather around choosing gifts, whether they gather around a lovely coffee or a bowl of ice cream or some East Nook hot smoked salmon or any of the other local ingredients that we've tried to bring together, and spend time together to meet the needs of quite a varied demographic that now lives or stays around Crail and the immediate area. So in some respects quite an experiment, but lots of people wanted all of those aspects, so we try to encompass a number of those different strands, so that people can come here and have a lovely experience and spend time gathering.
Yeah. I love that so much, because I know when I come in here, that is what I feel. I feel a sense of community, and whether it's because I'm coming in to get my regular latte, or whether I'm coming in to pick up a gift or to look at the new art that you have in, I know that that's what I feel. I feel a sense of community in Crail, that you can find all of that in this one location. So Joanne, do you want to tell us a little bit more about these boats?
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted actually that you've pointed to these beautiful little handmade and hand-painted boats, and these are made by Edward Smith. Edward used to make boats with his own children in the early 60s as he was training to become a graphic designer, and he then was a lecturer at Gray's School of Art in Aberdeen.
Okay.
And then when he retired, he's always had an interest in boats. When he retired, he began to focus more on these models and also prints of the boats that he makes models of. So they're all handmade. He now lives up in Fochabers. I first saw his work at the V&A. When the V&A opened, they had a retrospective and they were looking at traditional skills in Scotland that are dying out, and one of them was hand making these beautiful boats. And so Edward makes these beautiful boats, this kind of lovely sign writing and hand painting. I think there's around about between 8 and 10 layers of paint on some of these boats. And the other interesting aspect is that when I approached Edward after seeing his boats, I thought, oh, I'm just a small shop in the East Nook. He's got his boats in lovely galleries, and I sent an email and got this lovely response, and he said, do you know what, I could not imagine a more fitting place to sell my boats than at Crail, because of the history of fishing here.
So one of the things I love about coming to the Beehive is coming into this back room when I'm going to be having something to eat or having a coffee. I get to look around at all of this gorgeous artwork that's been curated by Joanne. It's a gallery. It's here to, you know, you can purchase art here, but you can also just simply admire it while you are eating. So Joanne, is there an artist here you might want to highlight for everybody? I know there's so many to choose from.
I think a bit like you, enjoying all of the artwork. I love working in this environment, and I definitely have to say that really all of the commendation goes to the artists themselves. If I had to choose one, I really love Mike Hall. Mike and his wife Susie came to the Pittenweem Art Festival over a number of years, over 16 years, and he would take sketches from the accommodations that they stayed in, and then his own interpretation of some of those places that they stayed. He would add that aspect to them. But I particularly love all of the shadows that come off of his work, and particularly I'm sure that he was drawing possibly early evening or early in the morning. He also does some international retreats in France. I think there's an aspect of that on the top door that you can see. But I particularly love his work with the glass rock and aspects of fishing and the architecture around the East Loop.
I absolutely love it too. Julian, is there anything else in the shop that catches your eye that you want to share with everybody?
Well, one of the artists that I'm very passionate about is Hannah Longmuir.
Oh, wow.
Hannah's based in Scotland, and she is an illustrator. But what I really love about her work is that her work follows the seasons. So she does all of these lovely designs, I guess, in terms of following the seasons. So even if we look at one of her calendars, so she does a lot of stationery. We can see here postcards, shopping lists, cards, and all of her work is set out like field notes.
Yes.
And that kind of link with nature. They're very delicate, they're beautiful. There's something about them that kind of takes you into the countryside. And I just absolutely love her work. I saw her work when I was in a coffee shop in East Lothian, and we've been selling her work since the shop opened. But if you look at all of the little notes, for example, in March, what we saw this month, primrose, blackbirds collecting nesting materials. And if I just move over a little bit to June, clouds of cow parsley fill the verges in early June, and the damp June days with the snail there. And little notes to put in, plenty of room for families.
I was going to say, what a great calendar to share with your children as you kind of move
they're
through
absolutely beautiful, aren't they?
different aspects of nature for each one. One of my favorite things about the Beehive is coming in the morning after I've gone running and getting a latte. I'm a regular here. I have a regular drink that I get every morning, and I think the coffee is the absolute best in Crail. So Joanne, do you want to talk a little bit more about your vision for the cafe part?
It was such good fun, drinking lots and lots and lots of coffee for about 9 months while we were getting the shop ready. And we had a coffee aficionado who went up and down the country to find the best coffee. And what we found was Grain and Grind. They are a small Highland roastery, and Louise, could you pass that down for me? Thank you. Small Highland roastery, and we have their bungle, which is a lovely coffee, medium rich roast. And they started off with 2 shops in Glasgow, but since we've grown, they also now have 8 shops. And people come from all over the area to have our lovely coffee, and it's been quite successful now with our own label that we have been selling a lot of ground.